Because the New Testament is not from God. The New Testament claims to be a continuation of the Old Testament, aka Torah. Now, in order for it to be a continuation, that means they must agree with each other. They cannot contradict each other. Now, there's something called a postulate. A postulate means that you are going to have, there's certain things that everyone agrees on. Everyone agrees on. Whether you're Christian or Jew, you have to agree to this. So, example of a few postulates. Rabbi Tovia Singer is an expert in this field, and he talks about this. This is where I learned this specific part from. And he says, everyone agrees, Christian or Jew, that it's possible that the New Testament and the Old Testament, meaning the Torah, being the Old Testament, or how we like to call it, the only Testament, and the New Testament, it's possible that they're both right. It's possible. Statistically, it's possible that they're both right. It's also, that's a postulate, meaning everyone agrees to that. You have to agree that it's possible. Even if there's a 1% chance, it's possible. 2, everyone agrees that it's possible that the Torah is right and the New Testament is wrong. Everyone agrees that it's possible for the Torah to be right and the New Testament to be wrong. It's possible. Why? Torah came first. Before Christianity was born, there was only Judaism or idol worship. There was no other form of Judaism. There wasn't conservative reform, Chabad, Breslev. There wasn't any of that stuff. It was Judaism, and then there was idols. Then there was Christianity, and then 80,000 other religions were born after that. Point is that at that moment, before Christianity was born, everyone agrees Judaism was definitely right. Before Christianity was born, everyone agrees Judaism was definitely the right place to be. Why? Because it cannot be that the New Testament that started Christianity is right while Judaism is wrong. That's the last one. It's not possible for the New Testament to be right and Judaism be wrong. Why? Because you can't be a continuation that's valid while your foundation is wrong. You can't have a happy meal if the foundation that you put all the seasoning on is rotten food. Cannot be. So it can be that the Torah is right and the New Testament wrong, but it cannot be otherwise. It cannot be New Testament right and Torah wrong. That is a postulate. That means everyone must agree to it. Whether you like me, don't like me, you like Jews, you hate Jews, it doesn't make a difference. Everyone must agree to this. This is a given. This is common sense. Fine. Now, let's prove that the Torah we already know from previous lectures is divine. How do we know it's divine? There's information in the Torah that could not be given by God, could not be given by anyone other than God, such as laws about nature, numbers of stars, different things like that. It's very, very easy to prove that the Torah is from God, and even the Christians and the Muslims both agree the Torah is from God. Everyone agrees Torah is from God. Now, the New Testament, on the other hand, cannot be from God. And that's what we're going to try to show a few facts. Not too many, but just a few facts to show. 1, if you're a book from God, that means you can't contradict yourself. You cannot be wrong about anything. God is not wrong. God is God. If he's wrong, he's not God. He's human. If he's human, you don't have to keep Shabbat anymore. You don't have to worry about Rosh Hashanah. You don't have to worry about anything. Why? If he's human, he's just as much of a God as you. You understand? So, now, in Matthew chapter 5, 17, Jesus says, no one is allowed to steer away from the Torah. And not even remove one letter, one yud, which is the smallest, physically smallest as far as how you draw it, letter, one yud from the Torah is not allowed to be removed, and whoever removes this yud is cursed from heaven. Okay, so here he says you're not allowed to change anything in the Torah. Whatever is written in the Torah, the aka Old Testament, is eternal, which is what the Torah says about itself. Problem, he later on says, I'm above Shabbat. He later on says things that are against the Torah throughout the entire New Testament. He contradicts the Torah. As a matter of fact, Christians today keep nothing from the Torah except one law. One law that's actually, according to the Torah, since we do not have the Beit HaMikdash, is no longer an obligation. What is it? Give money. It's the only law in the entire Torah, the tithe, the maaser, is the only law that Christianity keeps from the Torah. Everything they give, Christians give maaser much more than Jews do. Let's not mistake ourselves. Every Christian that attends church, if you don't give maaser, they don't even come to church. There was one rabbi that had a meeting with apparently he has a friend that's leads a church. And he says that the rabbi was complaining. He wrote an article about this. He was complaining that they're having financial problems. This big keilah, they're having financial problems. And the priest or pastor or whatever he is says to him, yeah, no problem. You'll probably fix it at the end of the month, though. So the rabbi writes, he says, I thought maybe you know something about my own keilah I didn't know. So I asked him, what makes you think that I'll fix this big financial problem, big money problem, by the end of the month? He goes, well, isn't that when you're going to get the maaser from your entire keilah? And the rabbi says, what do you mean from the entire keilah? He says, don't you get maaser from everyone in the keilah? You have 1,000 members. Don't you get maaser from everyone? He goes, no, not exactly. So the priest thought, he goes, oh yeah, us too, we also have like 2% of people don't give. Meaning 98% give maaser. The rabbi was embarrassed to write, in my keilah, only 2% give maaser. And this is a reality. This is a reality. That's the mitzvah from the Satan. Why? They're going to keep maaser like robots. Give money, give money, give money, give money, give money. Shabbat, no thank you. Midot, no thank you. Tarat mishpacha, no thank you. Kosher food, no thank you. Modesty, no thank you. Nothing. Everything else, it's not relevant anymore. Jesus said it's not relevant anymore. It's obsolete. He died for it. So here you see contradiction. Continues. There's a lot of material, so let me try to continue. The Torah specifies in Parashat Chaya Sarah, after Sarah Imenu, the wife of Avraham Avinu, died. Avraham Avinu bought Me'arat HaMachpelah. Who did he buy it from? Who did he buy it? Not where. Who did he buy it from? Ephron. Ephron Achiti. The New Testament says in multiple places that Avraham bought it from the sons of Hamor. Who's Hamor? The one that raped Dinah. Didn't even live in the same generation. Different person, Bichlal. On top of it, it's very specific in multiple places in the Torah, in Parashat Chayei Sarah, in the book of Joshua, in multiple places, where the Me'arat HaMachpelah is located. Where is it located? Hebron. New Testament says, in Act 7, where is it? Shechem. Different city, Bichlal. Nablus. Different city. Miles and miles away. It's not even the same. You want proof for it? Go to Me'arat HaMachpelah. It still exists. What, God forgot the address? The Torah says that Yaakov Avinu, in no less than 3 places, Yaakov Avinu, in no less than 3 places, it says Yaakov Avinu came down to Egypt with how many? 70 souls. New Testament says 75. All of a sudden, their God forgot how to count. 70, we just added 5. Where did the other 5 come from? Where did they come from? Last but not least, the Torah specifically says in the 5 books of Moses in multiple places, Book of Deuteronomy in multiple places, but also in the books that the Christians love the most. What do they love the most? Prophets. What's one of their favorite prophets? It's Isaiah, Jeremiah, Zechariah, all these prophets. They love prophets. Why? Because they're the most difficult to understand. Now, let's go with the book they like. They like Jeremiah. Jeremiah, chapter 11, verse 2 through 5. It says, "Cursed be the man who will not obey the terms of this covenant," specifically mentioning how idol worshippers bring trees into their house. It says, whoever brings trees into their house, it's a form of idol worship. Every year Christians bring trees into their house. And unfortunately some Jews too, that have become Christianized. Last but not least, I could give you proofs from here until next year. There's mamash, I have, 5, 6 books full of notes. And there's more at home. I'm trying to give you things that I like the most and some things that perhaps weren't mentioned or you haven't heard before. I'm sure you heard of most of them, but not all of them. In the Torah, there's a word called re'em. Re'em is a biblical animal that was like a giant ox / deer. It doesn't exist anymore. It was a giant animal. It's mentioned in the Torah 9 times. 9 times in the Tanakh. Psalms 22, verse 21. Psalm 29, verse 6. Psalm 92, verse 10. The book of Job 39, verse 9 and 10. In Deuteronomy, 5 books of Moses, chapter 33, verse 17. And book of Numbers 23, 22. So both in the 5 books of Moses and beyond. A re'em is a giant animal. The Chazal explains a giant animal that is like a bull or an ox / deer. It's really, really big, says the Midrash says, yes. Midrash says that one time David HaMelech was with his sheep and he thought he was climbing a mountain, but in reality it was this animal. It was this animal. It was a huge, huge animal. It was like a dinosaur. Believe or don't believe, this is what's written in the Torah. It doesn't make a difference to me whether people believe in stuff like this. They think that dinosaurs is like had to live 50 million years ago. That's a conversation for a different time. Point is, it's mentioned in the Torah specifically what this animal looked like, who, what, when, and how. 9 times nonetheless. We use the skin of this animal for many things, and so on and so forth. In the most famous version, out of the 200,000 versions of the New Testament, the most famous version is the King James Version. The King James Version translates the word re'em to what? Unicorn. Unicorn is a cartoonish animal that was made for kids' stories. It's a known thing. There is no such thing as a horse with wings. And it's a cartoon. It's like saying Gargamel. It's like saying Smurfs hung out with Moshe Rabbeinu. This cannot be anyone that looks at this for me, I don't know, maybe I'm making a big deal out of it. But for me, 9 times you got the word wrong. You put a cartoon. You put Bugs Bunny in the Torah. Who's going to read the rest of the book? You put Bugs Bunny in the Torah, and you still want to believe this New Testament? It's craziness. But that's the thing. So the proofs against it are endless. 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 We'll give you a couple of things to take home and understand.